So the other day, before I heard anything about all of the noise about Disney's new live action production of The Little Mermaid, I was scrolling on Facebook and I came across this Facebook group that was advocating for boycotting this new Little Mermaid production. I did a little digging and I found out that this Facebook group had about 10,000 members in it, and there was this huge controversy on social media from people who did not like that a young woman had been casted to play the lead in The Little Mermaid. And what was controversial about it was is black. And I couldn't, part of me couldn't understand how this is controversial. How could people be so entitled to think that that character needs to be one race or the other? Disney decided that this Chloe Bailey person is talented enough and can portray the character. And there are people upset that she's not white because we have changed their version of The Little Mermaid. But another part of me really resonated with that issue because I think I experienced the similar thing in the field of psychotherapy. Like, most psychotherapists look like an old bearded white man, and that's what we study a lot when we're in graduate school. There's almost nobody like me who looks like me that's writing books and traveling the world delivering lectures and has become a recognized authority in this field. And there are people in my field that are upset, and they don't even realize, it's their unconscious bias, because what they're actually responding to is Elliott looks different than the view I'm used to seeing in that position. So I need to reject those differences, and it causes me to have unconscious bias against Elliott. That same thinking is what's happening here with the lead character Ariel in The Little Mermaid with Chloe Bailey. And we have to check these biases. We have to be aware that there is no rule, there's no world whatsoever that says The Little Mermaid should be white, black, polka dotted, pink, 7 feet tall, 2 feet tall. The Little Mermaid can be anything the producers of the show decide for them to do. Just like anyone who decides to become proficient in a psychotherapy approach and spend their time honing their skills and writing about their skills and researching those things and producing content, what entitlement do you have that that person needs to be one race or another, one gender or another? It literally doesn't make any sense to me. But this is what happens in human thinking. Because The Little Mermaid has always been white, she must then always be white. So we have to reject the change. This is why advocacy for diversity is so important, but also so hard. Because people say they want diversity, but when they're faced with the actual change that diversity brings about, it triggers their uncomfortability because now things are starting to look and feel different, but that difference is good. So I want to highlight this and say how important it is that we support Disney and that we support Bailey and we support change. Because change is uncomfortable, because change is uncomfortable, even when it is a change related to diversity that we know we've been advocating for. We've been talking about how important it is to have a more diverse representation in the media. We've been talking about that on television, movies, film. And here it is, it's actually happening. A young, talented, wonderful black woman has been casted in this very important role. And there's a pushback to it because some people have a problem with change. But that's why we need to support it. So we have to be aware of what drives these things and understand that the people in those positions are really facing a force, which is people saying they want diversity, but when diversity actually happens and the change comes about, it makes people uncomfortable. And that uncomfortable is good. It should be accepted. We should recognize what it is and where it comes from so we don't let our biases and our entitlements and our privilege get in the way of what is good. The reason this is so important, in my work as a psychotherapist, I hear from people all of the time saying, Elliott, you represent what I want to see, what we look like up on the keynote stage and in writing books, and how important it is that I keep doing what I'm doing. And I think that's true for this woman playing Ariel, because now young black girls get to see themselves as a princess. Now young black girls get to see themselves as the star. Now young black girls get to see themselves being represented in a positive light. And a generation ago, that was not possible. And representation matters for that reason. So let's just kind of take a moment and like look at where these biases are coming from and accept that change is going to be uncomfortable, but it's important because a whole generation of young girls are now getting to see themselves in a new light. And I can't think of anything more important than that. So Chloe, I support you. Disney, well done. And all of the people who are in this Facebook group and making this noise on social media trying to make it so that Disney does not do that. Because that's actually what happens, is they threaten to boycott Disney as an intimidation factor so Disney will change their mind. Shout out to Disney for not changing their mind. Shout out to Disney for not falling for the intimidation. And shame on all of you that are making noise in this way. We have to be better. We have to do better. In order to do that, we have to understand where these biases are coming from and like look within ourselves and challenge the people around us to be better. That is the only way that we will actually become a more equitable society, and that's what this is all about.